Hey guys. So I've been seeing this video, and I'll take you back one. I've been seeing this video a lot on Twitter. Like, people have been posting this thumbnail. The original title was different. I think it was like the West War against loli or something. But basically, this guy is the final defense for lolicon, right? For basically anime pedophilia. Now look, I'm not here to judge anyone or belittle anyone or say, ha ha, I'm better than anyone. But if you are an anime pedophile, I am better than you. As a person, I am better than you. And I don't care how pretentious, how elitist, how whatever that sounds, right? You are a bad person. If you look at something that is stylized to look like a child, that sounds like a child, and speaks in the way that an underdeveloped mind does, and you are attracted to it, you are a pedophile. It does not matter what age they have thrown on the character. You are a pedophile. That is it. Point blank, period. If the only features that make them attractive to you are the features that would also commonly be seen in children, where they have to use children for these body models, you are a pedophile. And people say, real women are built like lollies. It doesn't mean I like kids. They are wearing school outfits. They are wearing school outfits. They are talking in child voices. You are a pedophile. So, let me watch this video and see if the West has poisoned my mind and if I'm wrong. And if maybe lolicon isn't that bad. By the end of this video, nah, nah, I was gonna say some crazy shit.
There are quite a
By the end of this video, I might even be it. No, stop. Okay. In all seriousness, though, shout out to the OP. I'm not completely trying to shit on this guy. I don't hate him. I don't want his life to be bad. I just wanted to react to this video because everyone else was. Why does my YouTube look stupid? What? What the hell happened? The play button and the volume didn't always look like that. Whatever. Okay, I'm sorry.
few things the West hates about Eastern media, and
Okay.
some of those are due to the prominence of generally taboo things.
Hold on. I better move to like right here, right? Because I'm in the way of his subtitles. Incest is bad.
And Rayona. But
What's Rayona?
among these taboos, one stands at the precipice of notoriety and
This is what I'm talking about, bro. This is what I'm talking about, bro. Niggas would be like, she's 3,000 years old. What about this is an adult woman? If you're attracted to this, you're attracted to this solely because she acts like a child.
controversy.
And looks like a child. And goes to a fucking kindergarten.
Lollies. Lollies, in their most simple pop culture definition, is a Japanese-style drawing of a person that has physical characteristics of a child. They may not actually need to be a child, just that they can include childlike appearances and traits like a squeaky voice, brattiness, or energeticness. The intention for this type of character is to be cute, aggression-inducing, blood
You get Anya out of you remove her from this. You keep your stupid freak weirdo-ness away from her. She is not a lolly. She's an actual 4 or 5-year-old. I forget because it's been like a year since I watched Spy Film. You fuck her. You remove her from this video right now.
pumping, annoyingly cute. But of course, just like literally anything else in the world, something cute was bound to be sexualized. And because of the popularity of such, those who are unfamiliar with Eastern culture may find it off-putting. Over in the West, these concepts are demonized. See, if the
This is something that is meant to be demonized. Shout out to Nan Nan Beauty.
average adult man asks you to explain what a lolly is, you'd probably get weird looks at best and get the cops called on you at worst. Even if lollies are not sexualized, because of the sheer amount of it, even in series where there isn't anything lewd, it's not difficult to see why
Nigga said in series where there isn't anything lewd and showed Bakemonogatari.
people look at it that way. Now, the next few sentences will be oversimplified and are formed based on personal observation. So take it with as much salt as you need. I don't really have any research paper to back it up. But I think the reason for this divide is because of how fiction is consumed and perceived by both cultures. I think the West generally looks at fiction as a reflection of reality. They wish for it to be as grounded as possible, to be created with realism and real-world rules and consequences in mind. Just as they think that violence in fiction encourages young people to be violent IRL, they think that attraction to fictional young people is attraction to the young, regardless, that it undermines efforts against exploitation.
Oh my god, oh my god. This is like the same discussion as like people who say like all art is political. Yes, it is. All art actually does have a deeper meaning, believe it or not. I shouldn't say all art, but when you watch a show, when you watch a movie, yo, pause on Jeffrey Epstein is crazy. I apologize. When you watch something, when you see a drawing, when you see a piece, even if it's not literally trying to push an agenda onto you, it is still based off of the perception that that person has from being alive. So it is literally imbued with their ideologies, one of which would be political. It can have misogynistic undertones, even if they didn't mean for it to be there. It can have pedophilic undertones. It can have racial implications. Because, again, it is literally just a byproduct of the creator, of the person when they're drawing it, or whoever commissioned them to do it, right? Or whatever. All art has a deeper meaning, even if you don't realize it. It just does, right? It is the same thing with your attraction to fictional things. It's like, my attraction to fictional young characters isn't the same as, like, actually being attracted to kids. Why do you think your brain has those neurological pathways, though? Why do you even fire on those cylinders? Attraction to fictional young characters. Why the fuck are you attracted to young characters at all? Do you understand why that is problematic? Whether they're fictional or not, that is a bad thing to be attracted to. That's just wrong. That is a mental illness. That is literally not okay. I don't think I know of a single person who plays Grand Theft Auto because they're attracted to shooting people. Because if someone told me that, I'd be like, what the fuck? Are you okay? I'd be weirded out if they said that, right? I don't think I actually know anybody who, well, I was gonna use another example. I actually do know a couple of people who are just genuinely into that shit. But when it comes to lolicon, there is literally so many actual realistic traits of children that go into these characters that I just don't think it's as simple as saying it's not the same as real life. Yeah, of course it's not the same as real life. Of course it's not meant to be perceived as real life. Yes, little girls can't actually turn into big ass fucking dragons, right? Little girls aren't actually 4,000 years old. I understand that. But those are literally their only traits. If you look at, say, Boa Hancock, and you say, oh, well, you know, I'm attracted to Boa Hancock fictionally, that doesn't mean I'd be interested in a woman like her in real life. Sure, she has a sexy voice, she has a hot body, but she also, like, kicked a puppy, right? If you saw a woman kick a puppy in real life, you'd be like, okay, wow, I actually hate that bitch. What in the world? But you can still look past that because she's a fictitious character, right? With lolly characters, what do you like about them that isn't a factor of them being childlike? Like, that is a mental illness. You just shouldn't have that. That shouldn't be a part of you.
And loosely attempt
Sorry,
to
that went on for way too long, but
normalize or fetishize it. And because they think fiction is pinned to reality, attraction to fictional children is a pipeline leading to probable or actual
fiction
pedophilia.
is pinned to
You know what?
reality.
There have been actual lolicons that did try to assault or kidnap and do all sorts of things with actual children. Whereas, in the East, fiction is a reflection of one's imagination, wild and untethered, created with as much flair, mythicality, and aura in mind. That fiction has
Aura.
minimal real
Lolicon aura.
consequences, a world where you can think or create of anything. What you like in fiction does not correlate to what you like in reality. Just like how some women fantasize or consume about fictional grape does not really want to be graped, so too are lolicons not necessarily attracted to actual children. Though the inverse can be true, being a lolicon is not a big factor for pedophilia. I mean, you look at the people suspected to be in the Epstein list and try to point out which among those like lollies or even anime chief. And if you censor one genre of media that is loosely controversial, then why not censor all of them? But all of this only pertains to fiction and reality. What if you put this discussion into a marriage of both? VTubing, a weird, twilight zone of reality and fiction, the place
Oh,
where
the VTuber shit is weird too. Oh yeah, I'll weigh in on this. I'll speak since all I've been fucking doing is speaking. VTubing shit. Inherently, VTubing is not bad, and I even think using a model that looks like, and I hate using this word, a loli, is not bad. I think the problem with this is when you intentionally do lewd, sexualized things while looking and sounding like a child. That is not their real fucking voice, okay? When they make their voice 4 octaves higher and they mush their words to try to sound like a little fucking kid, they know what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. They are literally feeding into the lolicon cesspit, and they are giving you what you want, which are these little anime girls. They are acting childish, which again brings me back to my original point. What do you like about lolis that is not directly linked to children? Literally. Oh, what I like in fiction isn't what I like in real life. But what is the disconnect? Where is the separation? Because it's like if I say one of my favorite Dragon Ball Z characters is Cell, and you'd be like, oh, do you want a guy to try to blow up the earth in real life? Well, no. I also like Cell because his design is fucking crazy. Do you think you're gonna see a huge bug man walking around like that in real life? Probably not, but he looks fucking sick. I like his singing voice. I like, well, in the abridged, I like the solar Kamehameha. I like the Cell Juniors. They're fucking blue for some reason. Who knows why they're blue, right? I don't know. I like the nigga because he's cool. Tell me one thing you like about a loli that isn't linked to children. I want to know. Somebody please comment this if you see this video. Please, somebody comment. What's one thing that makes you attracted to a loli that isn't them being a child? Please. I'm waiting. I like her voice. And her voice is literally the voice of an 8-year-old. I'm just curious. I'm just curious.
And making that the core of their appeal.
VTubing shit is weird though. Not all of them, but...
and content. What is then the end result? Before I proceed with this whole thing, I feel like I need to say what my stance is on the matter just so you can know ahead of time that there is a bit of a bias in this video. I don't really care about lolis, not really into the body type or the content, but I think they're welcome because they're just fiction. I separate my fiction and my reality. It's not something I choose to do. It's just hardwired into my brain. And I'm gonna guess a lot of people are too. A lot of people don't really believe or cannot do that, and so the argument about this topic has been extensive.
I can separate
Some start
fiction from
arguing about the
reality,
semantics and the specifics, like how age does or doesn't matter into how lolis are defined, or how you should include high schoolers in anime, even if most animes are in a high school setting, and even if they don't look like lolis, or how lolis are acceptable as long as it's not sexualized, or how short petite women are losing representation because of its controversy, or whatever happens.
No, short petite. Because I hate when they say that. I hate when they bring up the short petite women and the short petite women are losing representation or this or that. No, talk to any real short petite women in real life. They don't fucking talk like that, bro. They don't hop, skip, and jump over puddles. They don't run with toast in their mouth. They don't end every sentence with "Yamete kudasai." If they're fucking short petite women, they still act like adult women. That's who should have representation. Not fucking children. Not. Oh my gosh, bro. All lolicons need to die. That's my stance on this.
Definition of a loli is that if the person looks young and acts childlike in the many ways a child acts, it's a loli, flat chest or not. Yes, I consider Haru Urara as a loli, and that's why she's my daughter. This debate goes beyond fandoms, reaching in the social media landscape, the academic field, and even among corporations and governments. There is a popular story going around cyberpunk edgerunners. You see, CD Projekt Red was heavily against the idea
did he
of
make this
Rebecca
video?
being in the cyberpunk world. A loli does not belong, they said, for some reason. Their Japanese animation partner, Studio Trigger, wasn't having any of it and refused to change Rebecca's design or place in it. The loli must stay, they said, and yet Rebecca became one of the most memorable characters.
Shout out to
in the show,
Rebecca.
and people argue whether or not she even constitutes as a loli. To many people, her brash and violent attitude doesn't
She
really
acts like a
make
fucking
her a loli,
adult.
but as a
She also
picture
looked
woman.
like an adult. See, yes, okay, this is actually a good example. That's actual petite woman representation. I think he's about to say that. I just cut him off. Rebecca is good petite woman representation, right? And if you want to consider characters like this lollies literally just because they're short and flat chested and have big eyes, okay, sure, then I'm not against all of them. I am against the childlike characters. That is how I've always interpreted the word. That's how I've always seen it used. That's if we are talking like Kana from Dragon Maid, that is a bad character. If we're talking like Rebecca, that is a good character. Levy from Fairy Tail, who acts like a normal fucking adult woman but just happens to be petite, that is a great character. I'm sure there's 70 billion more examples. I just can't think of them right now. But
Others insist that she is a loli, not just because of Studio Trigger's insistence, but because of her design comparatively to all other females in the show, as well as her attitude.
this is a
what
good
happens
petite
when a
woman.
regular loli is thrown into a violent world. Another situation, Comiket, the world's biggest fan convention, a gathering
I've never
to
been to
celebrate
Comiket.
fiction, born and led by Japan. Well, it was under fire from the UN recently for allowing lolis to be displayed and for being an actual genre, saying that it's generally harmful material. And in response to this, actual Japanese officials told them to go fuck themselves, that this is legal as it does not involve real people and that it is under the realms of creative and artistic expression. Though legal or not, many platforms seek to still censor such media.
To be fair, okay? To be fair, when it comes to the whole Japanese officials say it doesn't involve real people, so it's fine according to the Japanese government. The government does not affect my view on morality. I'm an American. Our government literally used to say that people were worth 3/5. My people, specifically. Our government fucking lied about Native Americans for over 100 years and called them Indians when they weren't even in fucking India. They were here in America first. Our government didn't even let women vote until like the 1900s, bro. The government does not and should not affect your view on morality. You should have a moral obligation to not be attracted to a character that looks like a child. Yeah, but the Japanese government said it's okay. I can look up lolly porn on my Reddit. I'm only 43. That's young. Like, sure, dude, if you really want to, if that's what gets your boat floating, if you get hard as fuck when you see a character that looks like a kid, you have a fucking problem. And I'm telling you right now, you have a serious problem, and I hate you as a person. And it is easily fixable, too. Stop doing that shit. If you're that attracted to drawings, there's a million of them that actually look like adult women. There's Faye Valentine. There's Nami. There's fucking so many people. There's so many options, bro. There's like most versions of Bulma except early Dragon Ball. There's Ursa. You can do so many things that aren't jack off to characters that look like kids and sound like kids and act like kids. You can do so many things that aren't
If you're
that.
a gooner, you might have noticed that a lot of Western hentai streaming platforms like Hentai Ocean, H Anime, or Hentai Haven once had the loli and shota genre, but have since then been removed. And it's not exclusive to streaming sites. Reddit, Patreon, Twitch, and a lot of other
Reddit doesn't do lollies anymore? What? I thought that was like their main draw. What? Reddit what?
websites are having none of it. Heck, this video is risky enough as it is, because YouTube might fuck me over. And this is so because the West is actively taking steps to make the existence of lollies at least restricted.
Good job,
and,
West.
Of course, no longer legal.
Good job,
So again,
West.
what does this mean for VTubers? Which side of the debate holds more weight? Bars. The West discovered the culture and concept of VTubers very much later than Japan. Yes, motion tracking hardware and software and even animated models was a thing for a long time here, but it wasn't VTubing as we know it right now. VTubing first came to the West in a spectacularly massive boom with the introduction of Hololive, which served to introduce fans to the medium and the culture. and many women took a liking to that concept. Some women find representation in lolis and translate that into VTubing because yes, a lot of women are short and petite. In fact, so many Asian women look so young that people can often mistake them as a child, which further adds as to why the East is more okay with it. A lot of other VTubers also find their identity as a loli because maybe that's just how they are personality and appearance-wise. And that would be the case of literally the most popular VTuber in the world and the face of the industry. Gargura, a very clear textbook loli who was more than open in the sexualization of herself. She would make cheeky references. Her animated short featured her naked 80% of the time, and she had this popular taunt against anti-lolicons.
What, are you scared of a little four-letter word?
The popularity of Gura herself is a statement, and we'll get back to what this statement is later. And of course, the West's defiance to this move.
This is what I'm talking
We'll get
about,
back to
bro.
what this statement is later.
Is this
And of course,
not literally a perfect example of what I'm talking about, bro? Show this to your mom and your dad and say, this is my favorite character. And when they ask you why, I want you to deadass find 3 reasons that aren't linked to her being a little ass girl. And then I want them to not start hating you immediately afterwards. Please, I'll pay $50. Call your mom right now. Pick up your phone. Be like, hey mom, I just bought this poster of this 6-year-old anime little girl who wears suspenders with fucking smiley face buttons. And she has twin tails. And I guarantee her voice sounds like this. And everybody's gonna think you're a pedophile, bro.
the West's defiance to this
Look!
movement would soon come, and at first it came in the form of Brittany Venti, who was entirely against what Gura stood for. She threw a video basically disavowing and calling out this sort of thing plaguing the internet, and well, VTuber fans didn't like that and proceeded to return her sentiments against her tenfold. That's not all. Resistance to this movement also came in the form of another fellow VTuber, Nyanners. For a while, she was 4chan's biggest darling due to her content. She would make loli-related content, post irrelevant for their time edgy humor, but then she flipped the switch on all that she previously was. After an enlightenment rainbow shower from Tumblr, she would disavow lolis and her previous fanbase, saying they were all weirdos and saying how it was basically pedophilia. And this was seen as a massive hypocritical stance because she clearly had a loli imagery, a loli voice, and loli themes. As VTubing expanded,
Mind you, in everything he just said, you could just switch it for little kid, by the way. She clearly had a lolly voice, so that's just the voice of a child. Lolly features, I mean, what does she look like? Does she fucking look 18? That's why people think lolicon is weird. What the fuck is a lolly voice? What is that? What is a lolly voice? Do a lolly voice, tell me that doesn't sound like a child. Oh, she has a lolly voice. Okay, so child voice. And so then people are attracted to lollies. So they're attracted to... Once again, let me repeat this stance, and it's probably going to be the title of this video. All lolicons need to die.
more casual normie fans of anime took a liking to VTubing, found all this loli shit, and didn't like it. It's not just fans, but it was also aspiring VTubers. Camilla, a now popular VTuber, once shared the same sentiment Nyanners. In fact, she didn't just disavow lolicons, she actively attacked Shondo, a loli VTuber once upon a time, because she thought, well, starting drama was the best way to grow. Chibidoki would call out lolicons and loli enjoyers, equating them again to weirdos and saying how they were all yucky. And they
My
would
little
dodge the
sister's
allegations
birthday.
by saying that the model that they have is chibi, not loli, which in my opinion, a big fat cope. But regardless, they would walk back on this stance years later due to public backlash because they made this whole grand stand about how loli equals bad, but then they benefited from being borderline or actual lolis, or wanted to partake in loli adjacent activities, or even maybe they just realized loli culture wasn't all that bad. And it's hard not to see why. Chibidoki looks straight up like a loli, and her figurine that was going to be released made it even more obvious. Whereas Camilla celebrated a milestone with a Lolicami Requiem post, a song that parodies how disgusting lolis are but is obviously a song for lolis. In fact, while we're at it, let's talk about Lolicami Requiem. Would you believe me if I told you that the most famous song in the entirety of VTubing was a song about lolicons? Well, at least before BB came out, but that's different. You would probably already believe me because it might have been stuck in your head at one point. Lolicami Requiem was a song made by Shigure Ui, a popular artist VTuber that is also
I've seen this dance. I don't think I know the song.
The song gained massive popularity in late 2023, not only because it was catchy, it had this cool, smooth, and repeatable dance animation that high-key was designed to be hypnotic and trendy. The lyrics describe of how lolicons are disgusting and kinda makes fun of them. It's an ironic song about how this loli goddess is going to save these disgusting lolicons while taunting, being a brat, and overall doing stuff that invites the crying emojis. There was a debate about what this song stands for. Anti-lolicons were talking about how obviously this was some sort of clever backhanded slap towards lolicons, and how Shigure Ui definitely hates lolicons, and how this was definitely anti-lolicon. But I'm just gonna tell you right now, these people are straight up wrong. In fact, they're tourists, and the bad kind. One speck of familiarity with Shigure Ui's content or Japanese culture, of reading behind the lines and knowledge of popular Japanese tropes, and you'd instantly realize that this song is actually catering towards loli enjoyers. The song, the lyrics, it's all filled with tropes that partake in that genre. Humiliation, the mesogaki behavior, the grape whistle blackmail. This has layers of irony in it that people unfamiliar with the genre or culture will misunderstand if taken at face value. This is the loli equivalent of the hacker known as 4chan, and the best part was that this was just supposed to be an inside joke between her and her community. There was zero marketing in this song. Hololive songs get all the fuss and huge marketing with TVs and radios and shit like that, but this song? The growth was as organic as it can be, and that should mean something, because there are a growing number of people who refuse to acknowledge that. You see, the more I observe this industry, the more I see that the more politically active members are the most vocal about loli content, and it makes a lot of sense. You know, the types of people who immigrated from Tumblr. They're the ones loudest against the movement, particularly Nijisanshi EN's fan base. See, Niji EN's audience are primarily women, Twitter women. It's why they have more pull on Twitter than they do on their streams, even during their peak in 2022. The very political, performative, activist type of women. That's just the audience you get when members endorse and broadcast political stances, even the extreme kinds. It isolates existing audience members who may not share that kind of passion or vitriol or even the same opinion. And it also isolates company members. While the argument of filtering the audience can often be valid, the argument doesn't apply when that audience is extreme and cares more about what you say rather than what you make. Very bad for your numbers and sustainability. It affects everyone in your company even. And this leaning towards active political statements would eventually bite a certain Niji EN.
Is this related?
The law. Twisty Amanazoko, a now infamous VTuber who is loud and proud, a lolicon, and loli herself.
Holy
she
shit.
would actively make fun of anti-lolicons and declare herself not apologetic for making incestuous loli roleplay.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Not only do I not like the loli stuff, but why'd she have to throw incest in there? I hope I can say those words on YouTube. Why'd she throw incest in there? Were we not far gone enough? Where the hell did incest come from?
Based, I would say, a true
Holding small cute animal, childlike hairstyle, big ass eyes, literal pacifier in her mouth. Grown ass men will tell you there's nothing wrong with them watching shit like this.
VTuber who would use the potential of the medium to its fullest extent. And how does the Nijisanji EN audience react? What do you think? There's an entire saga about her, but I just wanted to quickly run down through the loli stuff and exclude the other drama that was involved with her because they're not really relevant right now. In the same realm, loosely at least, Beatrice is a VTuber under Meriwether's Astroline, and as you can see, she's a loli. She was supposed to have an 18+ tag on her account, an explicit permission and willingness to be subjected to the
NSFW.
internet's degenerate whims. And this was met with a lot of backlash for obvious reasons. But Astralife just cut that shit out altogether. And yes, there were more campaigns of tourists who would try to declare that lollies and lolicons have no place here in the VTuber industry. For some reason, some people really believe that, but it's not just these VTubers who were affected by the anti-lolly campaign. There are many such cases that I can't name right now, affecting different people both indie, corpo, big, and small. But the one last person that I wanted to talk about is Gargura, now Sameko Saba.
No mention of Chibi reviews? That nigga Chibi is like the biggest fucking... Okay, I won't say he's the biggest lolicon. He's fostered the largest lolly supporting community I've ever seen. Just unapologetically sent PDFs under his Twitter comments. Or sorry, X.
Sameko Saba debuted with the biggest numbers in indie VTubing. She never lost her comebodies, and what do you know, she's even more lollier than she ever was as Gargura. Full-blown fan service, tummy out the scale, full bouncy, Kani crew, and what do you know, people are mad because how dare this lolly VTuber from Hololive become a lolly VTuber as an indie. For some reason, people really thought Gura was not a lolly or was not pro-lolly. They somehow got this impression that Gura wanted to or should have had an adult model. And now she was just lolly baiting? Heck, some Gura fans were genuinely surprised at this for some reason, when in reality, people that were paying attention and actually watched her this whole time knew that she was a lolly all along. This whole time, throughout her entire internet career even. And yeah, obviously, a lot of the people making these accusations are tourists. And this confusion, the genuine bewilderment, it just kinda shows about how wrong they are and how they never truly understood this industry to begin with. How they never realized that Lolicami Requiem was a song about lollies. How they never realized
Should I go listen
that
to
a
the
lot
song?
of big people in this industry could technically count as a lolly. How Gura and many other people, big, small, corpo, indie, are and wanted to be lollies. And so, we end the recollection of major incidents that happened in the community. Looping back to the question, how does the debate around lollies affect VTubing? Well, it says that lollies are here to stay for the foreseeable future, come what backlash may.
I mean, I'm gonna
As
be honest,
Japanese
I'm not a
culture
VTubing
continues
fan,
to
so I don't
permeate
even
throughout
fucking
the
care.
world in the form
But
of anime, so does its forms and even some of its cultures and behaviors. Yes,
I
the
was just
world
talking
in
about
the
the lolly
West
shit
will
'cause I'm an
meet
anime
with
fan.
more fierce resistance, especially from a growing, younger, more Western.
yo, can we talk about another thing that I would like to say? That is not so much like illegal, oh you suck, oh you're the worst piece of shit ever, but like morally, right? Like in your heart of hearts, in your depths, in your spirit, do you genuinely feel okay about yourself? Watching this digital model bounce up and down while some fucking mouth breather talks into a mic. You type your W's and your oohs and your little squish marks and your crying face in the chat while fucking Baby Gronk and Hawk 2 are in the background. And you're okay with this. This is something you're fine with doing. Are you not like almost at the breaking point of the human psyche? Like look at the I'm gonna mute this and I just want you to watch this in silence. I'll even turn my video device off. Just look. Tell me if you feel like this is okay to sit in your room and watch. Like that's okay with you. As an adult, as a grown man or woman, this is the content that you consume. I'm not even trying to make like a all lolicons are awful, all VTubers are awful. Do you feel okay? Is there someone you need to talk to or someone you can talk to? Because what the fuck is this, bro? Maybe I'll make a separate video on VTubing.
Younger, more westernized generation, especially people who only watch pop anime but aren't really into the deeper stuff. But so will people realize that it's not as bad
I'm a
as it's
tourist.
demonized to be.
I've only watched
I look
100
back
anime.
again at Camilla and Chibidoki's tweets, basically admitting that their opinions were reactive and came from a lack of understanding. They were tourists at one point, not fully understanding VTubers or anime or the culture they inhabit. And upon growing and realizing that,
Nope, 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 nope. We're not doing that. You say what the fuck you want about VTubing. We're not doing that about anime. We're not. It's part of anime culture to be interested in children characters. No, it isn't, bro. No, the fuck it isn't, bro. You keep that shit in VTubing if you want that shit in VTubing. They had to dig deeper into anime and Western, Eastern culture. Ask the average Japanese woman what she thinks about that shit, bro. She is not gonna be happy. If you tell her that you're in love with Imaizumin and Uzaki-chan, she's gonna be like, uh-huh. Alright, cool. Alright, cool. Walk up to the average Japanese woman and explain the plot of Redo of Healer to her. See if she still fucks with you after that.
Turn to apologize. This is fascinating because I imagine this is how a lot of people who join the VTuber industry and consume its culture
I don't know why
will
the pause
become.
is not
How a
bad.
lot of women in this industry will probably go through the same thing, and heck, perhaps other tourists too the longer they stay.
What the fuck is this? Is this not like a glitch? This is how her model regularly looks?
Maybe some will find a middle ground and accept lollies as long as it's not sexualized. Maybe some will be okay with the sexualization. Maybe lollies, with the West's aggressive push to turn that off, will be completely censored in the future. But I believe this will stand by. VTubers borrow the culture, the community, and the connotations of anime.
Oh shit, she's playing
For
Resident
as long
Evil.
as anime will have lollies as a major part of its identity, so too will be the case in VTubing. I invite people who watch this video or may even resent lollies to be a bit more open-minded. Like I said, this is
Why the fuck did she say she's never played Devil May Cry? I'm cool with the VTubing, but never playing Devil May Cry.
never going to go away anytime soon, so maybe try to coexist with it. Because in doing so, you really
I actually
only
fucking
isolate
hate the
yourself
first
from a major
Devil May
part
Cry.
of the industry. In doing so, you are more likely to have fun and engage in VTubing in all the ways it can be consumed and all the shenanigans and all the communities that it can offer.
Okay, well, shout out to Depressed Nousagi. I actually thought this was a pretty decent video, and I thought he compiled his arguments and a lot of evidence well. And he didn't even really have like a super argument. He didn't have like an overall stance that was really crazy. He isn't actually really trying to push anything on you. He's kind of just demonstrating different viewpoints that already exist out there in the world. And I don't think there's necessarily an issue with that. But the overall other side of it, I guess I'm taking the side of the West here, of the anti-loli community, just sucks to me. So hard that it's almost not even a debatable topic. Like, no hate to Depressed Nousagi. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. But there is no excuse for loli culture. It shouldn't even be considered a culture. You're just a pedophile. Those are my final thoughts. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.